And it's To Be Fair, a podcast hosted by Ehryn and
Lisa.
oh my God, you finally did it with some oomph.
Yeah. Well,
You're learning. Maybe by season 3 you'll have it like really down pat.
maybe.
Maybe.
Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm. We can dream.
Well,
And
let's
maybe
not
we
get
can
carried
dream that
away.
I'll be nice to you too.
I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Do you think the audience thinks that we like are either really, really, really good friends or we just really hate each other? Like,
I feel like the audience might think that we're an old married couple without the whole marriage thing, and that we just, live and love and
I feel like no matter what, we're gonna end up in a senior home together, like somehow.
yeah,
Like, and we're just gonna like harass people. Like,
we're gonna run that bitch for
I know
real.
people are just gonna be so mad at us. Like,
So it won't be any different than now, except we'll both be senile.
so it will be the same as now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, speaking of senility, no, it's not really actually speaking of that at all. I'm really on my mental health recovery is really getting to different places these days. We spoke of how I was in the New Leaf for 10 days recently, about a month ago now. And I've been working on trying to get to the next phase of my recovery and trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. And it's been just so overwhelming. Like, just coming back out of New Leaf, trying to keep like this podcast, you and I doing this has been something that's been keeping me like holding on. Like, well, I'm getting somewhere, but it's still been rough.
Mm-hmm.
Like going back to work was something I was so anxious about. And I think that something happened within that where my anxiety about going back to work somehow sabotaged myself to the fact that I actually was let go from my job the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can go a million different ways with what happened wrong here and who's really to blame if there's what's going on. Like, because I've been replaying the whole situation in my head, and I'm confused by the situation, right? There's weirdness going on,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to dwell on it. I don't want to try and part of my problem is that I can get easily paranoid really fast, and then that can twist me around into this whole another place where then I'm vindictive. Like, it does not matter what the truth is anymore. I have now locked myself into that belief.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people like that. you
agreed.
know I just am very much aware of it. um
Mm-hmm.
and
Self-awareness is good.
it sucks though. And but yeah, so I lost my job because I was breaking policy. I don't want to get too far into it because it'll really irk me, because
Mm-hmm.
again, there's so many different ways this plays out in my head. And basically I'm taking it as a sign that my mental health recovery is so important. I'm not supposed to work right now. I'm currently I so today, second day in or like the second day in a row of my day to being unemployed now. I I had to go meet with my case manager, then I had to go meet with my disability representative, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
go to therapy. I had lunch earlier with a friend. I'm like, well, like, it is busier to not be working, to
Isn't
try
that
and work on my
crazy?
mental health. It's a lot more work just to
Mm-hmm.
fix myself. That's why I was trying to explain to people is like, it's not that easy to work on your mental health when you also have to work full time. So I respect all the people that have, like, case in point, families that have mental health going on all over the household.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a lot more pressure there. I have just myself. I can't imagine having to be a whole group of that. So with that being said, um, I'm I feel like I got some things accomplished today. Um, but I'm a little nervous for what's going forward.
The unknown is always scary.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. I
Uh,
don't know. I'm in a rough place at the moment, so I don't really have any good advice, unsolicited or not.
anything that you're able to share that
Um,
isn't too personal?
well, personal or not, I mean,
Well, I mean, I'm all about
I'm
us.
transparent for the most part.
Yeah, I'm about us
I
being transparent, but I'm about us like being like there's certain things that we shouldn't share if it's something we're still working through. You
right,
know,
right. Then I can't share anything.
true. True, but I mean, I'm talking like really still working through, like to like the point, like it's probably not at a good point for me to share it too publicly because I haven't really processed it enough. But anyway,
Right,
okay. So
yeah.
you, whatever you, so anyway, without
Well,
over explaining, you share where
I
you're comfortable.
I got my intake appointment for Turning Point, which is the um, uh, facility where they do the DBT program. I go see, her name is Shelly. I go and see her next week. Um, Next Friday. I am absolutely a mess. I am full of anxiety, and my anxiety comes out in really awful ways. I mean, when I get down on myself, I'm mean to the people that I love. I'm mean to myself. I I mean, I'm awful.
Guilty, guilty.
I'm so horrible. And tonight was really bad. And I may or may not have I hit the wall, well, the door frame, because I know better than to hit the wall because then I put holes in the walls. But I hit it hard enough that I'm mildly concerned that there might be an actual injury other than the bruising and the swelling. Um, it swelled almost immediately and it's already black and blue and
I know you sent me
it's,
a picture. Oh,
yeah, you can't really see because it's the reflection and whatever, people don't need to see it, but it's there. And it caused a extremely extremely aggressive um, argument, aggressive mentally, um, between myself and another person that uh, dwells in my household. um, I'm trying really hard not to use my new anxiety medicine as a crutch because it is a benzodiazepine and it has a high risk of dependency. And so I try to suffer through a lot of it. Um, but just basic functioning is hard for me right now. You know, I do what I have to do. You know, I go to work, I go to do the laundry, do the dishes, whatever, bitch about it because I feel like I'm doing it by myself, which, you know, they're teenagers, I guess it is what it is. Um, I feel like a fraud because I run that meeting on Wednesdays, health realization, and I feel like if I don't have it more together, then how can I help other people?
so you kind of
It's
feel like an imposter syndrome.
yeah, like I go to these meetings and I talk about my experiences and I talk about how I can relate to, because we do readings every week, you know, and I talk about how I can relate to those things, but even though I can relate to those things or to the readings and to the things that other people are going through, like I feel that I if I'm being completely transparent, that I don't know, I just don't feel like I should run the meeting. I don't know, I might just be getting down on myself, having a really hard time with not driving. I still have a month left of not driving. And so I go through the cycle of feeling like a burden, being mad because I bought a new car that I can't drive, you know.
Yeah, but it's only a month now. Of
I know.
course, what sucks is then you're going right into like the bad weather driving.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're already
What?
going into winter.
I mean, right now my main focus is to get my anger and anxiety under control because my anxiety causes me to be really nasty and mean and angry, and I scream and yell a lot, and sometimes I scare myself. So I
Yep.
can only imagine what happens with the other people in my house.
That's been part of my personality since I was a teenager.
Yeah, me too.
I'm my anger towards my stepdad came out all the time. I just remember I was so angry with him as a child, but I couldn't do anything. I was a child. So then as a teenager, when I started having more, when you're getting, are getting hormonal and stuff as it is,
Mm-hmm.
like all of my hormones were getting drawn into that anger. And so I would just like freak out. I'd get so mad and I'd just scream at him. I'd get mad for him trying to like discipline me because I'm like, why do you get to be the one that disciplines me when didn't get punished for anything you did to me, you know,
Right.
like when he abused me as a child, and so that kind of thing continued. And when I'm fresh on this story because I just shared it with my therapist. So
Mm.
I was like, that's how I've been feeling. Is like, um, I I had a problem with like authority in that sense, and I look for hypocrisy everywhere. So that's why I'm a big person about policy in places where I work. I was talking about this with somebody earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just that. Or was it
Yeah.
you? Was it you?
Mm, I don't think so.
No, we don't talk about
No.
policy.
No.
Policy over what?
Right. There's no
Like
policy here.
once we actually incorporate into an actual business, like we actually have a listenership that gets us like into another level,
Right.
we
Yeah.
we'll probably have to have like HR people, like PR.
Yes.
Yeah. People that are just coming and telling us you can't say that kind of stuff. We'll
Right.
be like, like what?
Uh,
This is how we've always been. What are you talking about?
right. I don't change for anybody. But
Mm,
yeah, I really need to get my anger under control. I don't even know where it comes from. It's so, I mean, it's just like that, and I used to have it under control a lot better. And I don't know, I just feel like the older I get, the more my mental health is failing.
yeah. No, I
But,
get exactly what you're saying.
and I mean, I've been through a lot more, with all of my drug addiction and prison and all that stuff and abusive relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if my anxiety is coming from like triggers that I'm not even aware that are triggers, a certain tone or like, I don't know. We drove by when we were coming. I was getting a ride home from the meeting, and every time we go, we drive past my ex-husband's house. And I always got really weird right before we drove by, and I always stare at the house, and I always just get this weird, just dreadful feeling. And it's like, it's just so weird that it's just that prevalent still. And we didn't stay there, but the woman that he has children with and was with for 12 years lived there. And I got blamed for breaking up their family. And I got blamed for the things that we were doing, and then just, I don't know. So I'm beginning to feel like maybe driving by that house twice a week is maybe not a great idea,
Yeah, probably not.
because then I hyper focus on it, and then, you know, I
But
just feel yucky. My insides just feel yucky.
yep, I understand. I do. I do. Yeah, so it's just weird. Mental health has been such a big thing for our theme and how we talk about.
Mhm.
And I've always kind of felt that imposter syndrome. And I'm starting to feel a little bit more at home with this conversation about mental health since I feel like I'm back at square one of my recovery. Like, here I am, bipolar. you know, here I am fresh out of the crisis center. Here I am unemployed and going on disability, because I really need to focus on all this stuff. And I still have that stigma and the stuff that my stepdad unfortunately left in the back of my head of like, oh, you're going to use your mental health as a crutch for the rest of your life, blah, blah, blah. Like, ugh.
Yeah, it's that pull up your bootstraps and just put it away.
Yeah,
And that's
I,
just, for me, that's not a reality.
I know.
And yeah.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's where I think, but I'm excited and scared for my next phase here.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to like finish up our conversation tonight with a little fun chat because as you know, I've been trying to write my like musical concert cabaret about my story.
Yes.
And so I'm picking it's kind of like the theme is basically how musical theater is the best way to tell my story, what
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from musical theater. And one thing I know about myself is that I like the less popular, more obscure theater or musicals that probably shouldn't exist, but because they do, I love them so much.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is Grease 2. Um, there is a fan base for Grease 2,
Yeah.
and I am a part of that, and I believe you are as well.
I do love Grease too. It's
It
so ridiculous. It's so lovable because it's so ridiculous. And Michelle Pfeiffer,
Michelle
yes.
Pfeiffer. Oh, Michelle
It's
freaking
so it's
Pfeiffer.
so funny to think of her in Grease too, and then think of her in um oh my gosh, what was that movie called?
Dangerous Minds.
Dangerous Minds. Yeah. All I
Yeah.
could come up with was Gangster's Paradise. And I'm like, that's not the name. That is not the name of the movie. That is definitely the song.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. And then Judy Garland's daughter, Lorna Luft, was in that movie as Paulette, one of the Pink Ladies.
Oh, I
Hmm.
did not know that that was her daughter.
Yes, the blonde.
Mhm.
Um, and I just know that the guy that played, he was Sandy's cousin from Australia. So this time it was the
Oh,
boy.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was like the
Yeah.
reverse role thing, and they were motorcycle heads instead of car. Like yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was too.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was
Yeah, you know, the soundtrack, I mean, even
oh
if you
my
don't
god,
like the movie, the soundtrack is gold.
100%, 100%. Like I think one song we can both agree is the song "Reproduction,"
Yeah, I think every single science class should
which
learn about it that way.
which the first time I ever saw Grease 2, I saw it on cable TV, like TNT or something, in a Saturday
Sure.
afternoon out in the middle of winter. Cause like best time to watch TV is during the desert of winter in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
only sunny out for like 5 hours.
yeah. So I remember, I think it was Grease and Grease 2 were like back to back all day, like rotation on TNT or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And but they edited that song out for TV.
Well, yeah, it's naughty. It's
I
about
know.
sex. It's
So
about the sex.
it's so they got so I remember buying the movie on VHS.
Of course.
And so of course then I was like, that song was I'm like, no, this song wasn't in the movie before. And then
What?
I remember getting the CD when I got a Discman, like
Ooh, like a portable one or like a
yes.
boombox one?
No, my first CD player was a Discman.
Ooh,
Hmm.
snap.
Um, I remember getting the Grease 2 soundtrack, and that song was on there, and it was "Make My Stamen Go Berserk." I just like always remember that one.
Oh man.
Uh, um, and then I like the of course, Michelle Pfeiffer singing "Cool Rider."
Well, right. I
Yeah,
can picture it in my head, like the
yeah.
scene and
Her
the
crawling on the
hair and the
ladder and her just
yes.
flipping her hair. Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's the like the pageant at the end or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole movie wraps up at the luau.
Of course.
Mhm.
I mean, it honestly, it like you said, it's basically Grease one,
but in reverse, or
but
but
in
like but
reverse,
vice versa. Like
and
instead,
has
it's
a
now.
song about, well, and I mean, um, Summer Nights has that from the first one, has that like undertone
Mhm.
of sex with Summer Nights
Yeah,
with the chorus.
but
And
they make it sound all pretty and like, oh my god, it's them. And in like Grease
yes,
2, it's just like down and dirty. We
right.
going prowling. Oh,
Oh
oh,
man.
but anyway, so they did. I always looked for it and wondered if they'd ever make it a stage version, and they did make a stage version of that. However, it's not Grease 2 on stage. It's actually just a musical called Cool Rider.
Oh,
So it's the same
okay.
story. They're just nothing connected to Grease. It's just Cool
Sure.
Rider. Yeah, but same story.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and I actually have the recording. So it's not Michelle Pfeiffer and everyone singing.
obviously.
It's but because I can't find that actual recording right now. The actual
Wow, that
the movie.
surprises me. You can usually find, excuse me, you can usually find anything you're looking for. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I took my bedtime medicine.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm about to take mine too because yeah, I've got more appointments tomorrow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta work at 10. One
but
plus, one thing that's a plus, I guess, is I've been offered to work 10 to 3 Monday through Friday. It's kind of like a perfect schedule, actually.
it really is. I mean, then you get your weekends off. You get to
Mm-hmm.
work during the time that your kids are in school,
Yep.
and bada bing, bada boom. You know,
Right. Yep.
it just works out. You get your hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like perfect. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna talk to my boss and we'll see.
Yeah. Um,
So,
but yeah, so I just want to remind listeners and viewers here on YouTube to subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, to make sure that you subscribe, like, and share, follow, whatever the kids are calling it these days.
right.
Um,
Follow us on Instagram.
our Instagram, our Facebook. There's chances for you to sponsor us by going to our website, www.tobefairpodcast.com. Any way of showing your support, get us out there, help us, converse with us, give us your input, tell us what you want us to talk about. We like
Yeah.
to talk about everything. So obviously you can tell from this episode that we are pretty open to sharing our personal business.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, this is our check-in episode, and feel free to check in with us because we care about you just as much.
yeah. And you can even, I mean, I don't want to say that we're ever professional, but I'm all about the ask us our personal experience, like advice kind of thing, situation, and like situational things, because life experience, things that we've gone, sometimes you can see. So I wouldn't like to say that we're like giving advice, but just ask
No.
us our experience if it's something that we think that can be relatable to something for you.
Mhm.
All right. But other than that, we're going to talk to you later.
Have a good night.